Pre-use inspection. One of the keys to fall protection is the inspection of the equipment. Failure to properly inspect gear can lead to serious injury for the worker. Equipment must be carefully inspected prior to being used each and every time. It is important to follow manufacturer's specifications for inspection of your equipment. Once a year, a competent person, other than the user, must complete a thorough inspection of your fall protection equipment and record the results. Using a checklist can help you with knowing what to look out for when examining your equipment. It also documents the findings. For due diligence reasons, it is important to keep the inspection checklist as a written record. Webbing and nylon straps. When examining the webbing and nylon straps, check for any broken or worn fibers, fraying, cut stitches, burn holes, knots, paint or magic marker, as well as any discoloration from UV exposure, sewage, or chemical corrosion. Be sure to examine both sides. To make the defects more visible, grab the webbing in both hands, invert it, and bend it over your hand. Make sure that the CSA approved label as well as in-service date are legible. D-ring and shoulder pads. The D-ring, or dorsal ring, is the attachment point for lanyards, retractables, or lifelines. If a fall occurs, it will be the D-ring that restrains you. Thoroughly check that the D-rings and associated hardware move freely and are free of cracks, corrosion, or rough or sharp edges. Make sure to inspect the webbing and protective sheath where the dorsal connects so that there are no nicks and the dorsal doesn't pull away. Examine the shoulder and back pads for any signs of wear, fraying, cracks, breaks, or twisting. Buckles and tongue attachments. Buckles have to be inspected for any pitting, corrosion, or breaking. They also should move freely and retain their shape. Tongues need to be inspected to ensure they sit properly and move freely in the frame. Friction buckles should not be pitted or corroded. Outer bars and the center bars must be straight. Lanyards and lifelines. Ensure that there is no damage on the safety lanyard. Check for any broken or worn fibers, fraying, cut stitches, burn holes, knots or dirt, paint or marker damage, as well as any discoloration from UV exposure, sewage, or chemical corrosion. Pay close attention to the wear and the quality of the stitching at connection points. Make sure the CSA approval label with in-service date is legible. Some safety lanyards used include shock absorbing, tie back, and positioning. Locking snaps, hooks, and tiebacks. Locking snaps must be examined for corrosion, cracks, chips, distortion, wear, or any other damage. Check the closing and locking mechanisms of the connectors. The latch must sit firmly in the keeper when it is closed. The appropriate CSA approval stamp must be visible. Thimble. Check that the thimble is smooth without any cracking, burrs, or distortion on its edges. Ensure it is firmly seated in the eye of the splice. Make sure the appropriate CSA approval markings are legible. Fall indicators or overload indicators. Your harness may have built into it a fall indicator or an overload indicator. Look for the following indicators that the harness has been involved in a fall: either specially stitched webbing that separates, a D-ring that lifts out of an axle, or holders that tear. Fail inspection, remove from service. Remember, never use fall protection equipment that has deployed fall or overload indicators, or missing or unreadable labels or warning tags, missing parts, or damage to metal parts. Any changes, cracks, sharp edges, distortion, corrosion, chemical damage, too much heating or too much wear, or defects in or damage to any straps and ropes. Any changes, knots, fraying, kinking, broken or pulled stitches, abrasion, or ropes that are too old, too worn, or too dirty, or missing parts or signs of defects in or damage to or improper working of mechanical parts and connectors. Never use gear that has already been in a fall.